But it's giving the game. It's giving Melanie. When Derwin had the baby on Melanie and they named the baby Derwin Jr.
Oh, that's too much.
If that baby name is Tyler Jr.
No. No, that would be terrible.
Hey, my loves. Welcome back to our channel. I'm your girl, Intisar Eleanor. I am here with my beautiful husband, Joseph Conner.
Hey.
And we are talking all things Love is Blind, okay? I know that we've had 2 releases by this point, so we're all the way up to episode 9 or... Hell, I don't know. The point is that we're back, okay?
Yeah.
We at wherever y'all at. How about that? And we're talking all things Love is Blind. Joe made me something, and he told me to wait.
You know, we always, do our thing now. So cheers to being back to another episode. So we went to a new coffee shop yesterday, and they had something called an espresso old fashioned.
Yeah.
So,
you did it though.
I was inspired to recreate it because I was like, we can do this and put a spirit in it. The spirit is Sir Davis, which I don't love, but that might not be what you love, but spirit is Sir Davis, so that's the espresso old fashioned with Sir Davis.
Oh, well, then shout out to my girl Beyonce. I love it now.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God, it's so good. More and more and more. It tastes like an old fashioned.
Yeah.
So it's really
They
good.
did it yesterday at the new coffee shop we went to because y'all know we were also foodies. And so we went to a new coffee shop and they did a really good job. I tried it. Now, obviously, theirs didn't have alcohol in it, but I was like, we can do this and like put something in it or whatever.
Yeah, what was it called? Better
I think if
Buzz?
I make it again, it was called Better Buzz. I think if I make it again, I would use a different alcohol. I don't love the Sir Davis taste. It just doesn't, it's just not great. But I think that I can do like a bourbon or something that has a little more, much of a rounder.
I think the Uncle Nearest has the rounder
yes,
taste. But
yeah.
there is a little bit of a little burn, a little tug at the back of the throat.
And that's the only reason why I don't, because I like stuff that's just a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
But shout out to Uncle Nearest.
And we be drinking it though. I know. Shout out to our family over at Uncle Nearest.
Yeah.
Let's dig on into Love is Blind. So we're just going to go couple by couple because it's been a lot going on, y'all. Too much to talk about. And let's start with Monica and Steven, because if you've been watching like we've been watching, you know that they out. Okay, I'm not burying the lead on it.
Yeah.
There is so much going on here. Overall, I do feel like most of the couples like each other. And I could even go with that. I believe that Monica and Steven liked each other as well. But there was, to me, something about this couple that just something was amiss for me the entire time.
Well, I just felt like Monica was, from the very beginning, it just seemed like Monica was constantly trying to make him somebody else. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. And then she was making the weird comments about how, like, I love that you're, like, not fully black, but you're, like, a little bit black.
Well, past that, that's a big comment, so I don't want to say past that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I think that there's other things that happen here that were that need to be addressed. When she was speaking to him about being more thoughtful, more forthright with the gifts and the flowers, I feel like I'm only going to tell you, I'm going to say it once. We're going to talk about it once, like have a full on conversation. And then I'm done having a conversation about it because I can show you better than I can tell you. And I feel like for her to continue to talk to this man just simply about buying flowers or like what kind of gifts to get her, I respect it, but I also was annoyed.
I think it was a little bit self-saboteur, like, and he even referenced it. You've known this man for like a week.
Right. Y'all been away for most of that time. How could he even have gotten flowers?
You met him in a controlled environment. When you got out of that, soundstage,
right,
you immediately go on like a honeymoon.
Literally.
So now you're on vacation. You leave vacation or your honeymoon or whatever, and you get home. They're home for like a week before she's like, I need more of this. And how? That just, Monica is just a little bit of a terrorist to me. Like, from the very beginning, I didn't like how she treated him. I didn't like how she talked to him. And then this whole thing of like, how do you even have room to grow or grace to do anything? Like, you have to teach your person how to treat you. You can't teach them on Monday and then by Tuesday you giving them an F grade because they're not. I don't understand.
Absolutely correct. You also have to give them the opportunity to show up for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, for me, it felt a little bit like, girl, please shut the hell up.
Please.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I said, there's a way to say what you need. And I don't know if we are at this time in dating where people just are so curt and so like, I need this and that's it. Like, nobody back in the day, you could get whatever you wanted, but you used to have to like massage a little bit. You know what I mean? Is it that, real ass give about a real Becker bag 5, 6? Are we just saying this to men and then they're just getting it for us? Or do we have to be nice?
I think we're in a place now where it's nobody has patience for anything.
Okay.
And that's including the maturation of a relationship. We talked about this a while ago, a couple of days ago, where we get in these relationships, this today's singles. This is specific to today's singles. And I say singles because it transcends age and it transcends color and it transcends tax bracket. It seems like just today's singles, period, everything has to be microwavable. If I meet you on Monday, I need to know everything about you by Wednesday. And then if I tell you how to treat me on Wednesday, by Friday, you have to have done it all. Like, it's just, everything is microwavable. You know what I mean? We don't wait for the relationships to mature, for people to mature, for people to go past whatever status that they're in today. There's no foresight. You know what I mean? So I think that's just a result of how people date today. It's really sad.
It's really sad because also we don't leave room for people to just show up as themselves. We don't even give them the opportunity, right? Like, so he talks about like purchasing her a bag or whatever the case may be, and then makes mention of the fact that like, yeah, I'll buy you a Kate Spade bag. Like, you might want something really nice like a Kate Spade bag. And she was like, don't ever buy me a Kate Spade bag. And I thought, one, love. I don't know. Part of me loves this because I want women to be assertive in themselves. And then the other part of me is like, as a person who purchases things or have had massive gifts purchased for me, I don't remember being like, I remember accepting whatever, even if I didn't like it or love it. And then like, oh, honey, next time, you know what I mean? Like, point out what you like. And I get that she wants to be able to wear these things and stuff like that. But y'all forget that there is somebody on the other end of this who did this out the kindness of their heart.
Yeah, and I think that's the fastest way to get a mug to stop doing for you. The energy that she's delivering, when she's rude about it, she's curt about it. You know what I mean? This man is trying to figure you out, right? And so imagine a man trying to figure out how to please you, full stop. Let's not even get into the point where this is love is blind. Just a man asking you how you want to be treated, trying to figure it out. And then you giving him energy like, oh, you should already know. Like, don't ever do that for me. You know what I mean? That's weird. Now, let's add in the fact that this man just met you like a week ago.
Right.
That makes it even more weird.
Right. He don't even know what your closet look like for real. To even say, oh, I need to step it up and get a YSL, this or that. You know what I mean? Again, I appreciate that she's communicating that she likes gifts.
And I think this also needs to be made clear. I'm not saying don't. I just said you need to teach your partner how to treat you. I'm not saying, for Monica, I'm not saying don't teach Steven how you want to be treated. I'm all for it. I think it's a necessity, but it's all in your delivery. Y'all have to pay attention to how you speak to your spouses, especially when they do not know you.
And I often think that, and you and I had this conversation about gift giving and how there is an expectation of what you think the gift giver, the gift is supposed to be before you give it. So like that can sometimes stall you from
Yeah.
doing anything because you think I need to come with this massive thing.
Yeah.
When in real life, it's just like little tokens of appreciation
Yeah.
that somebody just wants to feel seen. You know what I mean?
Right. And especially if you're Steven and you're still learning her, just from her delivery, you would take that as like, oh, I can't, if it's not a car, I can't, you know what I mean? That's why it's important to pay attention of how you say these things, because if you're Monica, you might have room in your, you know what I mean, in your wheelhouse for the things that you want. You might have a little wiggle room there where it's like, I don't want Kate Spade, but it can be this or it can be that, right?
Yes, because
we
get it, girl.
Right. Then lead with the openness. And she's leading with this curtness that especially if you don't know her, will make you think like, oh my God, it has to be, you know what I mean? And that for some people can also be paralyzing.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what to do because she wants this and I don't know if I can do this. And you know what I mean? So it's just like, even how she's telling him about these things just seems counterproductive.
It does. And I want to say one thing before I ask you a question. Not too much on Kate Spade. The cutest thing.
Also that.
The cutest purses I have. When I mean I have Chanel, I have YSL, ask my husband. I got all these bags. When we go in the streets, because Kate Spade do these like wacky different bags, like the one that's like you remember the one that is a pot?
Yeah.
Like those, like people are like, oh my God, like where did you get that from?
But to be honest, if you paid attention to Monica, you understand that it's not even about the Kate Spade.
It's not. It's about wearing a YSL look.
Yes.
That's what it is.
That's also why
that ain't even an expensive bag if we're keeping it 100.
But for her, it's a status thing. Oh, let me say that I don't do this.
It is.
You know what I mean? Because ain't nothing wrong with a Kate Spade bag at all. You know what I mean? Number one. And number two, I think it's all for show and tell for her.
Yes, and I'm wearing Coach too, ho. I'm doing all that. But that's the difference, right? Like people do fashion for whatever reason they do it for, and some people do fashion for themselves, and some people do fashion
for
to
others.
add status.
Yes.
From others.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you can tell. You can absolutely tell the difference. And she gives she's
posturing.
She's
trying all the time.
Well, I hate them words.
Excuse me. And that's what I don't love about her. Like, because even with him, it feels like even the critiques or things that she wants to change about him feels like it's for somebody else.
Oh, yes. And also, why are we rushing all of this?
I don't know. Y'all just
hasn't been that long. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying you shouldn't have got some flowers, girl. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, like, let's get to know this person.
Y'all just met.
I am certain that you have met a man who done bought you all these things immediately. You don't have to explain that to me. But I also feel like if you met him and you went on the show to talk to a man behind the screen so you could find a husband, apparently that man didn't work out, right?
Right.
So let's take a step back from ourselves, because I think sometimes people get on this show and don't believe they're a part of the problem. They believe it's the opposite gender is not doing whatever they need to do. When in truth, if you've gotten to the point where you need to sit in a room behind a screen and talk to somebody you don't really know, you part of the problem.
Right. 1,000%. And I just think that, especially with somebody like Steven, who seems like at the time that we're having, it seems like he's very much so into Monica.
Yeah.
Even the Kate Spade thing bothered me because it felt like she was trying to put him down a bit. Like, it was clear that he thought Kate Spade was a high-end bag.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Don't do him like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't have to pour it on.
It felt
like
emasculating.
Yeah, like, we don't do that over here. You know what I mean? And so there was a way to communicate that without, you know what I mean? Like, trying to castrate this man on national television.
I agree. Well, he ain't gonna get castrated because he gonna use that penis, okay? Whether he using it with Monica or using it with somebody else.
But it was well... I almost choked.
For real. But one last thing. How did you feel when you and I had that conversation? Like, what do you think the approach was? Because I feel like I was like, just buy me something.
Well, you know what? So it's all in communication, right? I think initially, I don't believe that it was communicated well. And I think that, and we also ended up in therapy talking about, this is one of the things that we talked about in therapy. In therapy, it felt like it opened up a lot more. and I understood the depths of it.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of the, a lot of times when you don't have enough information, you make the conclusion on your own, which is why communication is so key, right? So initially when we had this conversation, to me, it just came across as like, buy me all the things that I buy myself or better, right? And at the time, I wasn't in a position to do that. So I felt very much so paralyzed, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't just come with something.
And at the time, I was making the most money I had ever made.
Right. And so that's why communication is key, because then you just start putting dots together, right? But then when we got to therapy and we were able to divulge a bit more and pull back the layers, Zar was like, well, that's not what I meant. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking, well, at the time, that's what everything meant. That's what everything said. You know what I mean? We didn't have an in-depth conversation about it. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why it's so important, not even in your delivery and in the content of how much you divulge makes more sense, because even in therapy, when we were talking about it, tying it back to so many other things made that make even more sense to me. But it also took the connotation of what it initially sounded like, of like, just buy me a bunch of big shit. Like, it took that off of it. So now it became clearer to me as more of an understanding and less of a mandate. Yeah. Because that's also added pressure to somebody who's trying to just
show up
right
anyway.
Right. And it felt, after more conversation, it felt much less of like a pressure thing. Like, because that takes the fun out of it too, right? You know what I mean? When you're trying to,
you like, it's the 13th. I got to get us something by the 15th.
You be in a mall sweating and shit, like uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And then you shouldn't hate buying your gift, your partner a gift. You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
And so I think that just in the communication, and I feel like that's where they lack. Like, they didn't have. That's why I miss the experts on shows like this, the experts, and when I say the experts, I'm referring to Married at First Sight. That's why I miss the experts, because some of these things you can tell they just need to have some more conversation, some deeper conversation, some deeper understanding, because they just have these short conversations of, this is what I want, and she's hearing herself say one thing, he's hearing her say another thing, and then they leave the room with two completely different understandings.
Right, and nobody's helping them through this.
Right.
But I'm saying all that to say, my husband buys me stuff all the time now. So, but I think it's just like you said, like, it's just a matter of like, I just want to be seen. I don't even need a lot. So I just want somebody to know, like, I was thinking about you, or whatever the case may be. So this, talking about using, thinking about you, Steven been thinking about a lot, okay? Steven is in these streets. Let me back up. The flower date was really cute.
And
beyond cute.
But and the flower date tells me that if you speak to this man, you don't even need to approach him the way that she originally approached him with the whole case.
Yeah, like, he hears you.
And he wants to do this. That's what's frustrating, because when you know that you want to do it and you feel like, damn, I just need the great, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
give me a little room.
Because from a personal perspective, I felt that way at one point. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do this, so lead with love and not like my fingers in your face. You know what I mean? Because you can tell that if you just speak to this man, he wants to be in a happy, loving relationship. If you just speak to this man and tell him what you want, he's not going to buy you flowers. He's going to take you to a flower shop. Right. And then have a whole flower thing. You know what I mean?
Or he wants to be in a happy, loving vagina. Something is up with this man. Like, he is hyper sexual. It gives me the ick. And I'm going to tell you, it was giving, and I hate
But here's the thing.
I hate
is he hypersexual?
Yes.
Or no, let me ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is he hypersexual, or do we just not understand his humor?
No, he's hypersexual.
Like, he seems socially awkward
to me. Texting a woman.
Well, that's
sexual things.
But that's just not being committed.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, that doesn't make him
hyper necessarily. I don't know him.
But I feel
this is a question. This is not a, I don't know Steven from a can of paint. So this is a question, because I feel like at this point, I don't know enough about him to have a strong opinion either way. I'm just saying, like, for somebody who you don't know, it could be, you know what I mean? Either way.
I just feel like everything he talks about is about penetrating something And I don't love that for you, or anybody else watching.
But here's the thing, which we know that they tend to do. When they find these people with these quirky personalities, they make a character out of them. Okay. So it comes across as an edit as this is how he always speaks whenever he's on camera.
But Joe, even after the flower thing, he was like, yeah, like you do nice things, like, you know, it would be nice.
No, I agree. And
I'm like sitting there like, do it, because the end goal with your spouse is always going to be you getting lit. If you lead with life like that, everything will be easier. We're going to be intimate, so it's fine. Every day does not have to consist.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that sometimes they give people a narrative and then they just drive it home for the whole season. Like, I can't believe this happened with somebody else a couple seasons ago. Every time they was on camera, they was talking about one thing. Yeah. And it's like, no, and thousands of hours of footage. This can't be the only thing that this man always talks about on camera. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense if that's his quote unquote narrative.
I guess. How did you feel about the text message? How do you feel about him getting caught sending derogatory text messages to young women after he told her he was at a sleep study that he got drunk to do? It's just, so by the time this airs, you guys, Monica has been on the Vile File. So the unfortunate part about production this season is that there are these gaps in everybody's conversations and timelines that we can't get back. It's really exhausting.
It is.
And then it gives people the opportunity to edit themselves, right? So watch the Vile Files, and Monica says that they're texting back and forth, Taylor and Garrett, about going downstairs and getting some cookies or whatever the case may be. Garrett texts, but Steven walks off. When Steven walks off, she's like, oh, Garrett texts you, let me open it up. She says she opens it up the messages. She sees a girl's name. Her intuition tells her to click on the name. She goes in there, and he's like talking about all of his kinks and this and that, and how this person is the only person that can fulfill him physically and all of his, kinks or whatever. And what I thought was funny was that Monica said that she's been kink shamed, and I just don't see why.
I don't believe that. I think he was cheating. You know what I mean?
Point blank in the period.
And I think that it's just unfortunate because I kind of saw them, as much as I didn't like how she was treating him, I kind of saw that they could figure it out. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I just felt like he was into her enough to where, like, we've seen this dynamic before, you know what I mean? Where it was just like that type of, she's just
rigid. Yes.
I'm like, he could be a happy husband.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate because I just felt like y'all could have kind of figured it out, I thought, But I think it's so upsetting. What I don't get is why why people keep going on these shows and they just cannot commit to the process for however long. It's only a certain number of weeks. And so it doesn't, even if you feel like your partner is giving you their ass to kiss, you have a finite, it's not like being in a real world. Like, you have a finite time that you actually have to deal with this person. Make it to the end of that time and say, you know what? This didn't work out. I got something else lined up. You know what I mean? But it's frustrating when you don't even finish the process. Because you couldn't wait to be outside.
Like, you wanted to be outside that bad. But that's what I mean. Like, when I was watching this, I kept saying broke people should never laugh. Because you don't even have no money. Like, you don't have a job. And you worried about pum-pum. Like, your brain is on the wrong things right now. You literally don't have a job. Like, you just met this stranger. You're filming a show in your small brain. You thought, you know what I'm about to get away with? Sexting some woman that I used to sleep. Like,
so did he used to sleep with her?
He said that she fulfilled all his...
Oh, so this is like his ex.
I don't know. Ex might be too far, but it might be somebody that he was
from his
with.
past.
Yes, so the point is...
He knew he had already been with this woman.
Right. Which is worse.
Yeah, because
No, it's all bad. It's not even that it's worse. It's all bad.
Right.
It's just disgusting. Because also, it's not like Monica wasn't sleeping with him. But I'm not going to be sweet.
Which I don't even think that mattered, because I think she could have been. I don't even think that whether she was sleeping with him or not mattered. I think this is a discipline thing. I think that you just have the discipline to make it to the end, because had you would have popped out at the reunion or whatever with your new joint, nobody would have been mad at you.
Nobody.
Because seeing how she was treating you, it would have lined up. Like you might feel like this woman just treats you better. We could have went with you on that had you not have been in the middle of figuring out stuff with Monica.
1,000%. And the problem is that y'all so short-sighted.
Yes.
And you almost fumble your own bag. Y'all not even smart enough to just... But that's how hard it is to be somebody else. It's so hard not to be your full self that you could have been doing Metro PCS commercials.
Yeah, right.
If you would have just held on for a second, right?
Yes, the goddamn Metro.
You quite literally had 3 more episodes.
Yeah.
All you had to do was hold on. And the truth of the matter is, when you lying about who you are, it will literally, like the Hulk, tear itself out of you.
1,000%, because discipline is a personality trait.
Period.
And a lot of times, this stuff don't even be about the relationship. It just be about
who you are.
Personal level of discipline. You know what I mean? And so that's really what it is.
So talking about other text messages, let's move on to somebody else who had text messages. But I really love this couple. That is Garrett and Taylor. Garrett went over to Monica and Steven's house and really tried to console her with Taylor, which I thought was the sweetest freaking thing. That said a lot to me about him, because it just was really empathetic.
I think they are a couple.
Garrett and Taylor are a couple.
I think they are a couple. And so I think, to me, it said more about their connection together.
Yes. Because
they kind of roll as a couple. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that showed me more about their connection. Like, oh, your friend is going through something, I'm going to ride with you.
1,000%.
You know what I mean?
And I really did. I love that. And they are honestly single-handedly giving me all the feels. I'm really into them.
I just think that, honestly, this is the first, I'm going to say this. We talk a lot of shit about these productions, and I want to give big kudos to this season, because I feel like this is the first season where, and I mean, throughout all of the love and relationship shows, where I feel like the majority of the couples actually like each other.
1,000%.
Like, it's not just for TV. It's not just so that they can land on Metro PCS when the shit is over. Like, I feel like they actually like each other. Even through their strife and their tribulations, they are still communicating with each other, which that is most of the time motivated by the like of the other person. Especially when somebody is doing something that is displeasing to you. That's a real sign of love. That's when you can use the L word, when you think, this mother is getting on my last nerves, but I'm not going nowhere. That's what love looks like. And I don't think people really understand that. That's when you are tiptoeing over to love, because everybody is so free with the word, especially on these shows. When you're tiptoeing into love, it's when you can say you still like this person and they are getting on your nerves, or they have violated you at some point, or they have disappointed you, or they cheated on you, or that's what real love looks like. And most of these couples are giving that they actually like each other. Right.
And they just want to take their time and get through. Yes. And they also recognize that it's a process, right? Like, a lot of them, what we see with Garrett and Taylor, and even Marissa and Ramses, and, Ashley and, I forget their man name. I feel like we're seeing people actually understand that this is a full-blown process.
Right.
That they actually have to take their time and walk through. And that might mean putting more faith into somebody than they feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But that's just being in love. Being in love is just being uncertain. Yeah, it's just really it's just an act that I'm going to do. and I just have to have faith that you're going to reciprocate in kind. You know what I mean? And I feel like watching them has been really nice. So we see them meet each other's family. Taylor meets Garrett's family, and she brings over a beautiful gift, like of flowers and everything. But I thought it was sweet that they got her a little gift too, like a little flower gift.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of sweet, y'all.
Yeah, I mean that also shows the kind of family that he comes from. Not too much, because I'm never going to forget that he was trying to make sure she wasn't black.
I'll never forget. He was trying to make sure she wasn't a Washington.
How much color do you
Johnson?
have? Yeah, 1,000%.
That's what he was trying to do.
There are borderline people who are really nice. You know what I mean? I've met them before. I played country for a long time. You know what I mean?
But that's
like, you're a little bit racist, but you are a very nice person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been around them, like been in their homes, like the whole thing. So I think his family is just, it shows, you know what I mean, that they're just genuinely nice people.
And it seemed that way. It seemed really nice. The mom was getting worked up. But what I like about him is that as the mom was getting worked up and talking about how she didn't know Taylor fully, the entire time he's touching Taylor. Like, he was giving her reassurance that no matter what these people say, I'm going home with you, okay? Yeah. I don't give a damn. We're getting through this. And that constant, like, touching and reassurance, I thought was like, this guy is into her.
And it's so necessary because y'all don't know each other yet.
It's so necessary.
So it would have been well within her, bounds to be like, I don't know whose side he's on. That could have been going through her mind. And so I think going through his mind is, I need to, at some point during this conversation, I don't know how I assure her. It may be verbal, it may be nonverbal, but I need to assure her that I'm on your side. We are a team. F these mother.
No, literally, I mean? And he did all of that. I felt like I feel like it was just really. It's nice to see grown men protect their women in the wild.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's nice to see couples lock in. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, I just see so many couples that I know they like each other, but they're not locked in. And if you know what I mean?
Do you have an example?
Not that I can give publicly.
Ooh.
No.
Okay, because I want to know. Because I'm like curious.
Because you do know. And I think that I just can't say it publicly, but there are couples that I know like each other. They love each other, but they are just not locked in. There's a certain level of locked in that will have you, almost communicating telepathically. You know what I mean? And that's funny. What we're talking about here.
That is so true, because sometimes I feel like people will talk to me about certain things or like want me to do stuff. And I'm like, y'all don't understand it. Like, Joe is my pocketbook and also my wallet. So I'm not going nowhere. I ain't got the money with me. Okay. But like, I want to take him everywhere. Like, I'm the girl that's like, oh, we're going on a girls trip. He can stay in the hotel room. Like, I got to go home to my husband. I do not care.
And
okay?
I would stay in the hotel
room. For
real.
When the clock strikes midnight, I'm a pumpkin. I'm not even fun to be around. So like, I really do like to see couples like kind of like start to lock in and learn to reaffirm each other non-verbally, because I think it's just so stinking important. Now, we learned that her family is in San Diego. Her dad really doesn't want to film, and respectfully, they didn't. But what I bang with is that Garrett got that monkey mother jumping behind when they made me take and plane and handle business. I've really appreciated that.
And that's what I mean. That's a part of being locked in. Like, sometimes it's a nonverbal thing, and then sometimes it's just a thing of like, I'm just going to go with you to wherever. Yeah. Wherever this thing is, I'm riding with you. You know what I mean? If we got to fly somewhere, if we got to be in the car, you know what I mean? Because I think if I had to explain it, it's doing things that no one would bat an eye at you if you didn't do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
it does.
You don't have to travel with your spouse on a work trip.
Right.
No one would be like, ooh, what's wrong with y'all? No one would do that, right? But it's a difference when you see couples who do travel like that.
I go, if Joe is traveling for work, I go with him.
It is just a difference. It's just a different level, you know what I mean? Of like.
But it feels like home. I never feel like I'm not at home.
Right. But even that is a different level of locked in. Like, when one of her friends said to her, She was single. Shocking. One of her friends said to her, "Oh, you don't be wanting to, like, we were going somewhere together," and she was like, "Oh, you gonna go to that too? Like, you don't be wanting to have your own space or not go or something like that?" And she was like, "No, like, but this woman has not yet been in a relationship where she's never experienced that. So in her mind, she couldn't fathom being locked in with somebody to the point where I want to go with them on their work trip. She just couldn't fathom it. No shade to her, but because she hasn't experienced it.
Right. No shade to her.
But when you have, you know what it looks like. Funny, we was watching a new show that's out yesterday, and it's called The Pradeeps of Pittsburgh.
And you all must watch it. If you like dry,
it's comedy. It's
office
good.
comedy, Abbott comedy. It's a little raunchier than that.
Yeah.
It is so stinking good.
But it's about an Indian family, and in one of the first couple episodes, they were talking about how the father and the mother are so locked in that all he does is say her name, and she knows what he's saying. And she interprets it as full sentences. And so they were literally talking to the police. They were like in an interrogation room, and they're talking to the police. And the kids were like, yeah, they can talk to each other by him just saying her name. And the cop is like, really? Do it. And so her name is like...
Was it Rasha?
Her name is something like that. But it would be if I just said Intezar, right? And so he said, yeah, do it. And he went, Intezar. And she was like... I know he's saying that he wants to get pizza later, but I don't really want pizza. And they were like, what? They were like, do it again. And he was like, Intezar. And she was like, he said that the tire is flat and we need to go. But that's what I mean by locked in. It was so good. Like when you're locked in, you can almost do that.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? Like it was obviously a joke. But as a couple who is locked in, I'm like, totally get that.
Because y'all hate when I do it, but I be completing Joe's sentences.
Yeah, and people be like, she be cutting him
like,
off.
oh my gosh, she cut him off. And I'm like, no, I just know what he's going to say. And sometimes I think he need help with the words.
I'm just slow like my dad.
I know. His dad is a preacher, so they just take their time getting out their thoughts. But I mean, all of that happened. They did go to San Diego. They had a successful trip, but not before he received a text message from an ex. And they have this moment.
Y'all got to learn to block these people. This is what I'm talking about. So then people will be mad at me because I'm a serial blocker. When I was a single guy, I was a blocker. You know what I mean?
You used to block people even when you were single?
I was blocking just because the sun came up and it was leaning to the east. But
he used to block me too, y'all, and then unblock me. He was crazy.
But here's the thing, right? That especially when you are serious about yours has to take precedent. When we got married, everybody was blocked. You know what I mean? So if somebody had an issue or somebody has, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? You just have to protect yours. And I think that there's a place that y'all have to get to where y'all care less about what these other mugs think and more about what your spouse thinks. I'm going to give these people grace because they're just meeting their spouse.
Yes.
But this is a thing, period. Like, y'all have to shut these lines of communication off and not care. People be like, oh, what if they want to ask me something? Or what if they need closure? You just have to not care. And I'm surprised at the level of care so many of you have who are, especially the married people. Like you have legal reason not to care. You just have to not care what your ex thinks, what your hookup thought was somebody who you don't even know like that, but you might have kissed them one time in a back corner of a club. Like y'all be having these connections that y'all feel like y'all have to show up for.
Yes.
And it's very weird because you'll be like legally bound to another person. Why do you care? Why do you care? Because it will only get you in trouble with the house that you actually have to lay your head in. And that's what's weird to me.
You know what I think it is? I think that there is this thing, back in the day on SNL, Justin Timberlake did this thing called Dick in the Box.
Hilarious, by the way.
But it's also very true. And I think this is for both people. People just want a security snatch. You know what I mean? Like something where just in case this don't work out, I know just who to call. But y'all got to get over it.
I mean, you can't be one foot in and one foot out.
And also, don't be security snatch. Don't be the person that's like waiting in the wings.
Right, that part.
That shit ain't hot. Like, you know what I mean? You go live your life and go get you go get you some real committed snatch. How about that?
Yeah.
Like, don't be waiting in the wings for nobody to choose you. That's real whack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but even he did. So he tells her one thing. Oh, he didn't respond. When he gets in front of Ashley and Tyler, he says what he said. Like, oh yeah, I'm in a relationship now, and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And Taylor is rightfully up in arms about it. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel?
I think she was right. The problem is when you lying, you can't remember your lies.
Hello?
And
just lying.
He was lying, and then he got in front of, and forgot that that's not the lie.
He got in front of one of his guys and then started telling the truth. He's like, oh yeah, I can tell the truth again.
He got in front
or just lie all the way home. If you gonna lie, go all the way home.
That's the problem with lying. You have to remember the lie, and he couldn't remember what the lie was, so he said something else and didn't realize that she clocked it and was like, "Wait, that's not what." When she said,
"Let me see your phone."
Yeah, like that's not what you just told me. So now you actually responded to her, and it just added more flame to the fire. I mean, added more gasoline to the fire because you already was in the doghouse because you didn't tell the whole truth the first time.
Literally.
And this is a situation where you could have just Taylor strikes me as a person who you could have just told her. Like you could have just told her, the John hopped in my DMs, I said this or whatever, I moved on.
The problem is, so yes, right, but I also don't think there's enough trust built up for her to just leave it at that. Because then you start to, because it's also a new relationship, you start to go in your brain like, okay, so what else they've been talking about? What did it, you know what I mean? Like, did he delete anything? Or are there any pictures? Or who is this person? Now I got to see how long y'all been messing with each other. And that's just simply because she doesn't have the knowledge of who this man was prior to this process. So I do think in our minds, she would have probably shut it down. But just based on how she was like, she had been cheated on before, I believe that she would have a little bit more
understanding.
She would have more questions. The problem is that
here's why
she could have nipped it in the bud and had less of
Here's why I say understanding. If you communicated to her first, if you would have got out ahead of it, I think she would have had more understanding because I think if that's a trigger for you, you appreciate transparency.
Yes.
That's why I said that.
And also, we have to work on transparency. Like, a lot of people do not understand that this is a big issue this season, I feel like. Transparency. Mm-hmm. We talk about the truth, and the truth is such a fascinating thing, right? Because it can be manipulated by each person. And not manipulated into a lie, but manipulated into the truth. You know what I mean? Like, a lie can be manipulated into the truth if you give it to the right person.
Right.
And I think that transparency is what we're missing. Like, I was talking to someone, when we were, I didn't drive this point home, but we were having a conversation about honesty and transparency. And really what I wanted to say was, you were in the background listening when I was talking about this, and you thought I meant like, oh, you did something wrong. That's why you tell me everything. But I wanted to say that we have evolved to a space of transparency to the point where if Joe goes somewhere and I'm not there, he'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm at a party at 311 Washington Street. Babe, let me show you the house. Joe will videotape, go through each room. Babe, look at their bathroom. Look at this. Look at that. Oh, such and such is here. Say hi to Zar. Like, he's transparent. Not because he has to be. We don't have those kind of issues. But more because it makes both of us more comfortable to feel like I'm still a part of your life when I'm not there. That's a level of transparency I want to give you. So then we can chit-chat about it in transparency.
Yeah.
And I think that people miss that piece because we all trying to be stealthy and sneaky all our goddamn lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I really do like Taylor and Garrett. I think that the way she handled it going to San Diego and just saying, I'm going to put this on the back burner, I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. Like, don't let it ruin your time. You know what I mean? That's also very mature.
It is.
Mature.
But also very much.
Cat, that was for you.
but it also shows the connection that they have and how much she is invested in this, because
Yes.
that's why I mean by I could just tell that these couples really like each other, because for people who you even on the fence about, you like, oh, I'm not taking you nowhere. I'm out. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about somebody else who really like each other. Let's talk about Ashley and Tyler. I mean, I could talk about what they did on the honeymoon and all that stuff like that. They rode the camels. It was cute, whatever. They talked about Christmas. But we all want to talk about the same thing. And that's the fact that Tyler has told us, or told Ashley, that he was a sperm donor. Okay?
Yeah.
From this sperm donor, he donated to a couple that is friends of his. There are children, 3 children. I don't know if he said how many children. Yes, he did. 3 children that came from this.
Oh, 3. I thought they said it was 2.
No, it's 3. 2 boys and a girl, or 2 girls and a boy. One, I can't remember. This thing has been like all over the internet, which let me say this.
Which is kind of exhausting. Everybody got all of these conspiracy theories and their own theories, and you let everybody tell it. Every TikToker know the John who know another John who everybody's an insider. So I'm a little exhausted by I'm overwhelmed by all of the theories that people are claiming is fact.
I am completely overwhelmed by it. And I also feel like this is why we're going to go back to them dropping episodes one at a time.
I know.
Because you all ruined the watching process, and y'all don't even know it. Y'all pushing us back into time. Think about anything with, like, we watching Agatha all along. They're only giving us these episodes one at a time so nobody can go through, fast forward, and say, this is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Game of Thrones and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, they're not dropping these for us to binge. And that's the reason. Y'all ruin everything. And I don't know why y'all want to do that so bad.
Because everybody wants to be first. And it's like, since when was everybody's aspiration to work for CNN?
I don't get
Everybody wants to break the news.
Literally.
I know the girlfriend. I know the ex baby mom. I know this. She told me this. I heard this. I heard that.
And I'm not saying we don't want the information.
I'm saying slow up. Slow up.
I'm saying allow us to digest a little bit and really kind of like let this flow.
Yeah.
Because either way, we're going to be angry. Let's be clear, right? If we get the information today, or if we wait until after she say yes or no and we get the information, we're going to be angry. Because truth be told, all of this is happening in the past.
But
y'all responding to it like it's happening in real time.
Right. And that's the issue, because for me, it comes across as like, the wannabe shade room cried wolf. Everybody got the scoop.
Yeah.
And if everybody got the scoop, nobody has the scoop.
But
you understand what I'm saying? Like, if everybody has their own,
somebody got the scoop.
But if everybody has the scoop, then nobody has this. Everybody's own theory can't be true.
Ashley sits down with Tyler, and they speak about him having multiple children. Well, I don't even know if he prefaced it as multiple children. I think he said it as if they were like he donated his sperm to his friends. Mm-hmm. And they are raising these children that he helped them create. And now they are, I mean, I don't know. Because the truth is,
he didn't tell her. The initial issue of this is
he didn't tell her.
He didn't tell her. Full stop. We don't even have to, which we'll go into, but we don't even have to go into the particulars and all of and all of the theories. The at the crux of all of this is because like you said, this is all happening and has happened in the past.
Right.
He ain't say, I'm with the John right now. I'm raising these kids. They back at my house. None of that. He just didn't tell her. Whatever the theories are, he didn't tell her, and she was right when she said, I should have been made privy to this information before I said yes. This, because who knows what my answer would have been if it would have. It might not have factored into her answer at all. You know what I mean? But she deserved to know.
And that's it. And that's really the truth here, right? Like, I feel like I would be more wanting to know why he didn't feel that was information. Because this is my thing. This is where I'm having the issue, right? If you are a sperm donor in the way that you're saying, why bring that information up?
Because if you're meeting a woman for the first time, she should know that you might have some motherfuckers running around here that look like you. She should know that.
Okay.
Because, and this is coming off of watching, there's a documentary, it's about this guy.
But that's a good point.
Who has like 1,000 kids. Like literally.
That's a good point.
Has like they've like did the numbers, and it's something astronomical because he was a brokey, and he found that his full-time job became donating his sperm, which turned into like he was donating in one area, but they have a cap on like how many times you can donate. So he started moving around to donate. He was donating in one city. Once he hit the cap, he went to another city.
He was mentally ill.
That part too.
he just wanted to make a lot of him.
But in his dating life, you would have to say like, hey, you know, at one point I was like a serial sperm donor, which sounds crazy to say, but you would have to say this to whoever you're thinking about seriously dating, especially if you're talking about marriage.
And it's 3 kids, and it's, I think, the same
and you
person.
know them. Because regardless of how y'all feel the story breaks down, in reality, what he did admit to was knowing them.
Yes.
So now you're not just a sperm donor at a bank where they give you a certificate or whatever. Now you actually know the couple, which means that you probably know the kids. Which means it could get awkward for somebody who's coming into your life and they're like, why does this motherfucker look like you?
So much is coming out about this. And, you know, they're saying that I'm so confused.
They saying everything. They
saying that he owed $30,000 in child support.
Oh, Lord.
They saying that
I didn't even hear that
his ex-fiance went on, you know, wrote her little Facebook status or whatever the case may be. When it happened, he took his ex-fiance to the baby shower of the couple that was having the baby and didn't know that they're able to have this baby, this lesbian couple, because
of him.
So she was like kind of blindsided in that regard. So certain things for me are not matching up. But what I'm noticing and what I'm appreciating is it doesn't really have to for me. It just got to make sense to Ashley. Period.
And whatever he told Ashley, Ashley said, I've been outside. I've been to Tulum. F all you bees. I'm rocking with it.
Whatever he said made sense to her because I just knew Mama was leaving. And when they opened up and she was still there, I said, oh, okay. He must have told her something that we don't know, which is fine.
But listen, that's not even what it told me. It told me these couples really like each other. It would take a lot for me to leave my woman too. She would have to tell me, like, I don't even want to give her the excuse. Okay? But she would have to tell me I'm Ashley, like, okay, I'm pissed.
No, for real.
But do you want to go to brunch on Saturday?
No, literally.
Because I've been outside. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? Unless you're telling me I got to raise these kids.
Bad bitch Joe was out here and falling in relationships with people.
I was single. You know
what I mean?
You was
a baddie.
The thing is...
So you wasn't having you was having good relationships.
But the thing is that when you found your person, it would take a lot. It would take a lot. Especially knowing...
what that feels like.
What the outside... Not only what that feels like, but what you're going back to.
Yeah.
To go back outside for what? Have you been outside? It's terrible out here. It's terrible.
Hilarious.
You know what I mean? And so... I get it. Like, I hate to say it, but she would have to threaten to kill my mother. Like, it would have to be so bad because y'all are terrible. Y'all singles are
it's bad out here.
It's bad. The options are few.
Because y'all can get the Alexes and the Hannahs of the world, and
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
So I'm not really mad at Ashley at all. Don't go outside. It's nothing out there, girl. Oh, he got some. The worst thing he got is a kid that's running around that he already admitted to claiming. Well, you might as well just keep moving and figure it out.
But I just feel like and maybe I would just have more questions.
And have all the questions. And she said it. The one thing that I love about this season is people are handling this conflict very well.
Yeah, for sure.
Ashley handled it well. Tyler should have told her, but after he told her, he handled it well.
He should have told her, and he high-key a funky dog kid ass bitch for not.
He should have told her, but even after he told her, she is abiding by all of. She like, I got questions. I need to know this.
Yeah.
He's like, okay. Okay, I respect, like, I just like how these couples are handled, because if you know real life, you know that as a real couple, a real loving couple, you're going to go through stuff. And so it's not about whether or not you're going to go through stuff. It's how you handle going through the mess and they're just handling it well. Almost everybody outside of like Hannah, almost everybody is just handling the conflict well. And I've never seen this on TV before. Like, it's just very weird. But I think that she handled it well when she said, I'm going to ask questions. I need to know this. I need to know that. You know what I mean? And he said, I'm going to answer the questions. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm like, whatever they got figured out, they figured it out. Not too much on them, because they decided that they're going to be together.
And I'm kind of, and you know what? We're going to let it rock. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because at the very least, get my girl a Metro PCS commercial.
Period.
At the very least, get my girl a Metro PCS commercial. He could turn around and not be who we think he is. But at the very least, get Ashley a Metro PCS commercial.
But also more respect to Ashley, because the maturity of realizing that
she more mature than I would ever be.
Picking, you know, the place that you're going to land, your spouse, your husband or wife, forever till death do us part, right? A lot of it is how much of things that I may not want to deal with can I deal with, right? She's dealing with that head on. You know what I mean? But
it's giving the game. It's giving Melanie. When Derwin had the baby on Melanie and they named the baby Derwin Jr.
Oh, that's too much.
If that baby name is Tyler Jr.
No. That's no, that would be terrible.
Oh my goodness.
But I just think respect to her, because you have to be committed to the process and committed to your spouse to be like, we're going to figure it out. This is not something that I like. This is not something that I love, but I love you. I like you, and we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And respect to that, because a lot of y'all have a really warped sense of reality when it comes to doing partnership. Like, partnership comes with baggage. And the baggage everybody's imagination is just so bad. Y'all Tyler Perry with it.
It is like, really y'all, fascinating.
The worst thing, let me tell y'all right now, cheating is not the worst thing that your spouse can do to you.
Child. And when they do cheat, you're going to be thinking.
But they could do some other stuff that you would think, I wish he would have just cheated on me.
For real.
They can really do that. You know what I mean? For real. That's just maturity. And I think that everybody's imagination, maybe social media is helping it along. Your imagination is bad. Like, as a couple, you're going to go through things that we've been through stuff this year and have nothing to do with cheating. It rocked our world. Cheating was the farthest thing from it. And
I'm barely getting out the bed.
So I just think that for her to just be like, you know what, you had some sperm donor issues. That's just being an adult and understanding the real world, that we're gonna have to, overcome some things, and they're overcoming this. Apparently they're overcoming this. So,
but how fine was her daddy? Wasn't that a good looking black man?
But her mom is high yellow. And
oh my God, we had this conversation, right?
It's hilarious. That's the part that's funny to me.
What I told Joe is, when I saw Ashley, I knew her mother was light skinned. I said, I don't know how I knew.
Because it take one to know one.
Right, because
her mom is high yellow.
If you saw me and most people see me and my mom, or like at our wedding, they thought Linda was my mom.
Which is hilarious.
So Linda is my girlfriend. Yes. Damn I'm like, what? Like, that's my girl. But like my mom, I'm like, what's funny about it was that mom had on white.
I know. Our wedding was very obvious who was who, because everybody wore black, which you're all stealing now. So everybody wore black, and then our mothers were in white.
Yeah, they wore
So
white.
It was very obvious who was who.
It was so hilarious. But people were like, who is that lady? I'm like, that's my mom. Like,
because she is high yellow. And the other thing is, her dad's genes are the strongest genes.
Right.
Everybody in the family looks like her dad.
Yeah, we all
Everybody in the family looks like her dad. And he's the brown part of the equation. So you can tell very clearly that her father is her father, and then her mom is this high yellow.
But if my mom talk, then you're like,
because the mouth is getting they're getting the mouth from the mom 1,000%. That's not up for debate. You can have one conversation where her mom be like,
You got one conversation and be like, oh, that's your mama, for real, for real.
I see, yeah.
Even this, okay.
Yeah. All of it, yes. She does stuff now, and I'm like, ooh, that's the mom coming through. I'll be like, Lord, please just give me time to, don't let it happen. You know what I mean? They say you turn into your parents, and my prayer is that it's not sudden. Like, give me a little bit of...
Give you some room.
Some years.
I be
like,
snapping.
Okay, you know what I mean?
But it's funny because I saw her, which, no shade to the mama. Mama was beautiful, too. But you could tell she just come from really, really beautiful, grounded people.
Yes.
This was really... This season has been really, really fun to watch and just to see everybody in their elements with their families. And even how people may be nervous for them, but everybody has their people's back.
And not only that, just seeing people go through real drama that's not Tyler Perry drama, just basic ass like, oh, he bashing her upside her head or he because also a lot of this stuff, if we're being honest, is growing pains. Mm-hmm. When you are transitioning from a single life to a married life, many of us have a hard time tying up the loose ends. Yes. That's really all this is. Yes. This is people transitioning from being in a single world and a single life for all their life to now being married people or people who are fiancés, and you will trip over. We've done it. Everybody's done it. You'll trip over tying up loose ends and transitioning into your adult life.
And whatever loose ends look like, it doesn't have to look like another human.
No, it don't have to like a baby mama or kids or no. Sometimes
it could be how you
sometimes
communicate,
it is, but sometimes it is a text message, right? Sometimes
you was texting I'm kidding.
But sometimes it is a text message, and it could be a platonic thing, right? Sometimes you might have, as a single man, I had a lot of female platonic friendships. Yeah. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
You know what it is.
Sometimes it's just uncomfortable. So even that, the whole, I'm just saying, we're seeing a lot of text message issues and stuff like that. These are real issues. And I'm glad to see these couples push through them because we live in a world now where everybody's just leaving.
But also, yes. But also, I want to clear something up. I think that having female friends is okay if your female friends are my friends.
Right.
And this is not even exclusive to female friends. This is opposite sex friends.
Right.
Full stop, right? But being a woman in the world with men who were my friends, it was absolutely a dig in the box. If any day I call funny, I could call and be like, you know what, I'm hungry, I want this. Okay, come on, let's go to get something to eat. I was going on dates with my best friends for years. Like, and not thinking nothing of it. We're going to the movies. I want to see the new Lion King. I want to do this. I want to do that. Or like, you don't even realize you're giving that kind of affection to someone who, in a way that is intimate, that isn't your actual spouse. You know what I mean? We don't even realize we're doing it. That's why I be like, no, I'm not even on that type time. Like, why? Because I know who I could call if I need something done.
But it's also just figuring out what is palatable to your spouse, and it just takes time. You don't have to leave them because they haven't figured it out yet. You know what I mean? And I think that I appreciate that these are just real life issues and growing pains when you're transitioning into a married life, into a serious relationship. You don't know. You don't know.
And these are all
you don't know that
I can't.
I shouldn't be texting, and I shouldn't be doing this, and I shouldn't be this. It's too late to do this, and it's just a new world. And I just think that it's good to see couples go through it, and nobody's like, I'm done with you because you was texting. You know what I mean?
It is really good to see, and it gives me hope. Talking about not having any hope.
Oh God.